Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. Port Charles had seen its share of miracles and nightmares, but nothing prepared the town for the day the past clawed its way out of the grave. At General Hospital, the air felt heavy with unfinished business. Machines hummed, nurses rushed by, and in a quiet corridor just outside a recovery room, two people who should not have existed in the same space stood facing each other. Britt Westbourne folded her arms tightly across her chest as Nathan West struggled to process the impossible. They had both spent years navigating their father's twisted legacy. César Fayson's shadow had never truly disappeared, and now it felt as though he was reaching out from beyond the grave once again. Liesl Obrecht's heels clicked sharply against the hospital floor as she approached them. Her expression held urgency, something dangerously close to hope. "Maxie is awake," she announced. The words hit Nathan like a physical blow. For months he had been told that his wife was trapped in a coma, suspended between life and death. For months he had lived as a ghost himself, 6 years stolen from him, memory fractured, identity questioned, and now she was awake. Obrecht turned to Nathan. "You should call her." Britt immediately stepped in. "No, not yet." Her tone softened slightly, but her eyes were firm. "If Maxie doesn't know about him, it could shock her system. We can't risk that." Nathan ran a hand over his face. He had already been told the truth. 6 months ago, he'd been found in Boston after a car accident, confused and missing 7 years of his life. Anna Devane had verified his identity through DNA and fingerprints. His grave in Port Charles had been exhumed. It was empty. He had been declared dead. His wife had mourned him, and now he was back. "I need time," Nathan murmured. Obrecht's gaze sharpened. "Time is fleeting. You of all people should understand that." Nathan turned away, needing air, needing space, needing to breathe without feeling like the world was tilting beneath him. Across town in Boston, Maxie Jones was living her own impossible reality. She lay propped up in her hospital bed, pale but awake, her heart racing as Felicia Scorpio gently smoothed her daughter's hair back from her forehead. "He showed up 6 months ago," Felicia explained carefully. "Car accident, no memory of the 7 years he was gone." Maxie blinked slowly, tears slipping down her cheeks. "That's not possible." "Anna confirmed it," Felicia said softly. "DNA, fingerprints, it's him." "And his grave?" Felicia swallowed. "Exhumed, there was no body." The world tilted. Maxie felt as though she were falling into another coma, not from physical trauma, but from emotional shock. "And Britt," Maxie whispered. "She's back too." Maxie let out a shaky laugh that held no humor. "Of course she is. 2 of Fayson's children come back at the same time. That's not coincidence." Felicia didn't argue. She had seen enough of Fayson's twisted games to know Maxie wasn't wrong to be suspicious. "But Nathan," Felicia continued gently, "he's still him, he's kind, he's wonderful, he and James, they're inseparable." At the mention of her son, Maxie broke. Tears streamed freely now. "James has his father back." "Yes," Felicia whispered. The emotional overload was too much. Maxie felt exhaustion settle deep in her bones, but she was terrified. "What if I go to sleep and don't wake up?" she asked. Felicia clasped her hand tightly. "You will, I promise, I'll be right here." Eventually, Maxie's breathing slowed, her lashes fluttering shut as sleep claimed her once more. Felicia stepped into the hallway just as her phone rang. "Nathan," she greeted. His voice was cautious, tentative. "How is she?" "She wants to see you. We're coming back to Port Charles tomorrow." Nathan closed his eyes, bracing himself for the moment that would change everything. Meanwhile, life in Port Charles refused to slow down for miracles. At the Metro Court, Molly Lansing Davis and Christina Corinthos Davis sat with Alexis Davis, animatedly discussing Molly's new book and the fallout it had caused with Cody Bell. Tensions simmered as Alexis listened carefully, ever the attorney, ever the mother. Later, Molly and Christina found themselves at a hatchet-throwing range, where fate had arranged a strange double-date collision. Michael Corinthos was there with Jacinda Bracken, while Rick Lansing stood beside Elizabeth Baldwin, trying and failing spectacularly to throw an axe. When Rick lost his balance and hit the floor, Elizabeth burst into laughter. The chemistry between them crackled unexpectedly. Molly's eyes widened in delight as she watched Rick and Elizabeth share a kiss. At Brown Dog Bar, Brooklyn Quartermain slid into a booth across from Harrison Chase. Maxie's awake, she told him. Relief flashed in Chase's eyes. That's incredible. But Nathan's back too, Brooklyn added. Chase leaned back. If Maxie gets him back, what does that mean for Spinelli? The question lingered. What would you do, Chase pressed gently, if someone from your past came back like that? Brooklyn didn't hesitate. I'd feel sorry for the other guy. My heart belongs to you. At the bar nearby, Carly Spencer vented to Jason Morgan about the custody compromise Michael had made with Willow. He's giving her too much time with the kids, Carly insisted, and Rick being involved, I don't trust it. Jason listened quietly, steady and grounded as always. Spinelli rushed in moments later. Maxie's awake. Jason excused himself and pulled Spinelli aside. Spinelli's eyes were troubled. If she chooses Nathan. Jason gave him a steady look. Maxie's stronger than you think. She might surprise you. Before Spinelli could respond, Jason's phone buzzed. A boat, a snowflake, a heart. He stared at the symbols and then he understood. Without another word, Jason left. At the harbor master's cabin, Britt waited. When Jason stepped inside, the tension dissolved instantly. You decoded it, Britt said softly. Boat, snowflake, heart, Jason replied. You never did make things simple. I don't want simple, Britt whispered. They moved toward each other, years of complicated history and unresolved emotion pulling them close. There was no grand speech, no overthinking, just a kiss, deep, urgent, filled with the knowledge that time was never guaranteed. They stumbled toward the bed, choosing each other in a moment that felt stolen from fate itself. Back at Brown Dog Bar, Liesl Obrecht slid onto the stool beside Spinelli. You have done enough for my granddaughter, she said coolly. Maxie will reunite with Nathan. Spinelli's face fell slightly, though he tried to mask it. If that's what makes her happy. Obrecht studied him carefully. It is inevitable. At the Metro Court once more, Ava Jerome and Lucy Coe endured an awkward Valentine's celebration with Sidwell. Carly later joined them, thanking Sidwell for letting her stay at his home while she repaired things with Lucas. Sidwell smiled politely. I aim to make Marco happy. Alexis later pulled Ava aside, concern etched across her features. Are you sure about him? Ava lifted her chin. I won't be chased off. While Ava left with Sidwell for the gallery, Carly cornered Alexis about representing Willow in the custody battle. I respect you fighting for Scout, Carly admitted, but Willow. Alexis held firm. Every client deserves representation. Across town at Windermere, Lucas Jones confronted Marco Rios. I heard you, Lucas said quietly, talking about Sonny, about what happened to Britt. Marco's jaw tightened. You don't understand. Lucas moved toward the door. Marco grabbed his arm. You're not leaving. Get your hands off me. Marco immediately released him, regret flashing across his face. I love you, Marco said, voice breaking, but Sonny destroyed my mother. I need justice. That's not justice, Lucas shot back. That's revenge. If you were in my place. I'd want accountability, Lucas interrupted, not blood. Marco's shoulders slumped. I choose you. But I need to finish this project with Sidwell. Lucas stepped into his arms, holding him tightly, but over Marco's shoulder, Lucas' eyes remained filled with doubt. Port Charles was balancing on a knife's edge. And tomorrow, Nathan West would return home. Part 2. The next day dawned with a strange stillness over Port Charles, as if the city itself was holding its breath. Maxie stepped out of the car outside General Hospital, her legs trembling. Felicia remained at her side, steady and protective. Are you ready? Felicia asked gently. No, Maxie admitted, but I can't wait another second. Inside the hospital, Nathan stood alone in a quiet room, staring at his reflection. He tried to recognize himself, the man who had been husband, father, hero, the man who had died. The door opened softly. Maxie stepped in. For a moment, neither of them moved. Nathan saw every memory flash across her face: love, grief, anger, hope. Hi, he said. Maxie let out a broken laugh. You died. I know. I buried you. I know. Tears streamed down her cheeks as she crossed the room slowly, almost as if he might disappear if she moved too fast. "You're real." Nathan reached for her hand and placed it against his chest. "I'm real." She collapsed into him, sobbing, and he wrapped his arms around her like he never wanted to let go. Outside the room, Spinelli stood frozen. He had known this moment would come. Jason stepped beside him quietly. "You okay?" Jason asked. Spinelli swallowed hard. Her happiness is paramount. Inside, Maxie pulled back just enough to look at Nathan. "I have questions," she whispered. "So do I," Nathan admitted. Across town, Britt lay in the harbour master's cabin bed, watching Jason sleep. She traced her fingers lightly over his shoulder. "Don't disappear on me," she murmured. Jason stirred, not planning on it. But both of them knew that danger followed them like a shadow. At Windermere, Lucas watched Marco carefully as Marco prepared to meet Sidwell. "You said you chose me," Lucas reminded him. "I did." "Then prove it." Marco hesitated, and that hesitation said everything. At the Metro court, Carly stood at the window watching the harbour. Miracles had returned to Port Charles. But so had secrets. And as Nathan held Maxie, as Britt lay with Jason, as Marco balanced love against revenge, one truth became clear. Faison's legacy was not finished. Somewhere in the shadows, unseen and waiting, danger was brewing. And Port Charles would soon learn that when the dead return, they never come back alone.